Bard is a champion that I've always seen as a little bit of a joke. Not in a mean way, it's just one of my best friends and one of the funniest people I know used to main Bard, and we never really took ourselves seriously. I played jungle, he played Bard, and we just kinda went around on magical adventures together. He'd be getting chimes, and then we'd two-man gank people with one of his portals, and it was some of the most fun I ever had playing League. But now that I'm learning every champion, I thought it was finally time to learn Bard. So for the next 10 hours, I'm gonna try to learn Bard in 3 steps. First, normal games, second, do some research, and third, play some ranked games. I'm doing this because I'm trying to learn every champion, so one day, I can make the greatest Viego video ever. So what runes and build should you go on Bard? Well, your main rune is Electrocute because it's really easy to activate with Bard's Q and his passive. You can also go Guardian if the enemy team has a lot of Engage or Assassins, so you can protect your AD carry better. For your build, your support item is usually Bloodsong. Since you spam abilities and you already have surprisingly good burst damage, it just allows you to do even more damage. You can also go Solstice Slay or Celestial Opposition if you need to be a little bit tankier, but that's usually only if your team has like no frontline. Anyway, then you want to build Deadman's Plate for tankiness and movement speed, and Liandry's Torment because it works really well with your passive. After that, you have a couple of different build paths you can go. You can go support, building things like Knight's Vow Redemption and Lockout of the Iron Solari. You can go for more damage with Wit's End and Terminus for, again, good passive damage and a little bit of tankiness. Or you can just go full tank with Force of Nature, Thornmail, and Canik Rookern. I was actually surprised at all of the different things you can do with this champion, and to make sure that I mastered him, I got the help from Lathrius, one of the best bards in the world, and he told me things I had no idea I was even doing wrong. Anyway, on to some normal games. So for my very first game, I made a little bit of a mistake. You see, I hit level 2, so I wanted to fight, but I couldn't figure out why Yasuo was still level 1. Luckily, I was able to bounce back with the roam mid lane. I didn't do much, but I gave him a 28 HP heal, so I got an assist, but I was quickly starting to realize that Bard might not be that strong in the early games. Oh, we are so giga dead. We stun her! We don't stun her. I had my fair share of mechanical misplays too. Yeah, guess what's gonna happen, bitch? I missed the stun. Still killed her though, it's fine. And I clearly wasn't used to Bard in general. Like, how did I not ult the tower during this fight? We tried to kill Xayah for like 10 seconds, and I didn't even think to ult the freaking tower. Jace and Warwick, I am so sorry. Needless to say, I had a lot to learn. Luckily, my next game got off to a pretty good start, at least for me. The early fight was pretty close until I made one of Bard's signature Great Escapes with an actually pretty good E at the end of this fight. And I even had a pretty good roam where I used my E out of vision to completely flank the Veigar, giving him 0 chance of surviving. Like, watching this game back, I was kinda surprised it was only my second game on Bard, because I can tell you right now, I was not making plays this good later on in the challenge. To be honest, it's probably because I was playing a normal game, and like I've said before, I have no pressure in normal games. I can limit test and play for fun, which gives me the confidence to go for fun plays. But you know how I know I was still new at Bard? Well, I was still making some rookie Bard mistakes. I went on magical journeys to collect chimes, but when I was gone, the enemy team would start a fight and my whole team would die. I should probably have been with my team there. And I just want to be clear, I am not blaming my team here. I was having fun collecting chimes, but there is a time and place to do it, and that was just not the time or place. Going into game 3, this happened. Why is this in my lobby? Respectfully, your masters, man. I'm gonna get my butt kicked down here. But luckily for me, being masters doesn't mean anything when you're a Bard master. Using my portal to set up this amazing gank trading 1 for 2 and getting my Nyla fed. Also, doesn't matter if you're a master's AD carry because in the end, you're still just an AD carry. And hey, I actually remembered to ult this time, even though I kind of forgot about it in the last few games, and would you look at that? I made Ashe flash and we got 3 kills. But you wanna know what's even more fun than Bard's ult? His E. Seriously, the possibilities with Bard's E are endless, and one of my favorite things about Bard is just finding these cool angles to get really good portals. However, just because I find these magical angles where I get a huge 2-person stun, it doesn't really matter if my team isn't ready, which is gonna be a reoccurring problem this challenge. I just get so excited for these flank plays, I just expect my team to follow up with no communication. But when my team is ready to go in, all of my slows and CC lead to pretty amazing picks for my team, even if I accidentally take a few kills once in a while. And the last thing I really just wasn't sure about was how to fully utilize my ult. Like here, I don't know if ulting Nyla was correct or not. Yes, it stalled for time and I was able to give her some extra healing, but I honestly don't know if it was the best way to ult in this situation. Wait, I actually think my ult was unironically good. And with that maybe amazing play, I had my first win. But even though I had a few good plays here and there, I still struggled a lot during the early game. It takes time to get your chimes and upgrade your passive, your range is too short to be a poke champion, and you're not tanky enough early game to be an engaged champion. I realized he spikes in the mid game when you get a few picks and focus on small skirmishes where your CC and damage can really shine. I mean, I can genuinely just 1v1 the enemy mid laner without my ult. My problem was the other roaming champion I had played, Pyke, really excels in the early game and falls off hard in the late game, so I kind of just assumed Bard would work the same way. But boy was I wrong. Not only am I surprisingly tanky, but I can almost one-shot the enemy Vex here while still having heals and CC to help my team with the fight. After these games I realized Bard is magical. So I did some research on YouTube and here's what I found. But before that, really quick, I want to talk about today's sponsor, War Thunder. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, and it is free on PC, mobile, and consoles. It has over 70 million players worldwide, and I was actually one of those when I played in high school with my friends. And when I saw it was on mobile, I immediately re-downloaded it, and it's so much fun. It's actually really well optimized and is a great way to kill some time with giant explosions and fast-paced combat. It also has over 2,500 different vehicles you can use, which is nuts. Could you imagine if I spent 10 hours learning every one? Wait, that's actually not a bad idea. And I think the coolest thing about this game is how in-depth it actually goes. Like, every part of the vehicle has a function and can be hit for damage, like the fuel tank, the crew, and the engine. The game is just incredibly detailed, well made, and did I mention free? So use the links in my description or pinned comment to download for PC, console, or mobile gaming today. And if you act fast, get a bonus pack with 100,000 silver, 7 days of free premium, and an exclusive skin if you're a new or returning player from over 6 months ago, if you're on PC and console. 1. Your E is an incredibly important ability and you should try to learn it in 3 steps. First, learn how to use it for yourself. Help your own mobility, figure out how the spell works, and if a teammate can use it, that's totally cool. Second, learn to use it for your team. Look for good engages where your team can get a flank, or help your team get to an objective faster. And last, try to learn how to use it during a fight. You can use it to escape, reposition, or flank, but since this ability is hard to use, I would recommend one step at a time. 2. Your Q has 2 main uses. Against engaged supports, you want to save it until the enemy goes in. This way you can disengage and punish them with damage. Against ranged supports, you want to use it for poke and try to find occasional picks, but don't try to do it too much because you'll run out of mana and you're not that long range. 3. Before you Q, try to auto attack first. Your passive applies a slow, which will just make it easier for your Q to land. And 4, don't use your ult at max range unless you're ulting something that doesn't move. Because if you ult a champion at max range, it'll take so long, they'll almost always dodge it. But if you ult somebody that's stunned or an objective that can't move like a tower, then the speed doesn't matter as much. We'll talk about chimes and roaming more later on during the Lathrius portion, but for now, on to some more ranked games. And jumping into my first ranked game, I immediately played way too aggressively again. It was just so hard to play a champion with this many possibilities and not try to make cool plays, but I definitely needed to control myself in the early game. I was getting better at using my ult though. Like in this fight, I used my ult to save Gangplank from Kayn. The fight wasn't amazing, but it would have been a lot worse without my ult. I also learned why tip 4 was so important. Don't ult from max range, because even though this looked like it would hit, I ended up missing by a mile. Oh man, it was a good attempt. No, Ecor, that was not a good attempt. Anyway, we won, but I really gotta calm down early game. But I just couldn't help myself. Our team is literally Kayle, Smolder, and Victor, one of the latest game teams I have ever seen, but I just kept trying to make plays. But here's the thing, some plays were good. Like here, when I punished the enemy for chasing way too hard to try to kill our jungler. But for every good play, I made another one that was just so bad. Like trying to catch the enemy Taliyah who had 100 HP, and immediately dying. And my constant playmaking was actually turning this pretty free game into maybe a loss. And because of that, this is the game I sent Lathrius because I just couldn't figure out why my plays weren't working. And I'll be honest, at this point, I didn't totally understand how bad I was playing, except when I make a mechanical mistake like this portal. Anyway, I was being super results focused. Basically, I thought, well, if I was winning, I must be doing something right. But that's when the losses and frustrations started to pile up, which led to me forcing even more bad fights and making more stupid plays. And I was getting frustrated when my teammates wouldn't play around what I wanted to do. Like, just walk up, man, just walk up. And so I was finally getting punished for constantly forcing these plays. This doesn't mean that every play is bad. Like here, I fought on our minions when the Karma walked up way too far, and it actually led to a winning fight. But I have to take my foot off the gas sometimes. Just because I'm alive doesn't mean I need to look for a play. When I played Braum and Taric, I didn't have this problem because I knew my job was to just keep my AD carry alive. But Bard is a roaming support, so I thought that my main job was to just look for plays. My approach was just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. I'm the support, it doesn't really matter if I die, right? But just because I'm a support and Bard is literally designed to roam, it doesn't mean I have to constantly be roaming all the time. Sometimes just following my team was the best play. Which all leads me to Lathrius's tips. I asked Lathrius to VOD review 2 games where I think I played well but just couldn't get my plays to work. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this, but he thought I was the worst player in both games. Let me explain. He found 3 main issues I did way too often, and even though the plays did work out, he said that there is no way that they're going to work consistently. 1. I went for chimes way too much. If there was a chime close to me, I would stop everything I was doing to get it. I would leave my lane and make my AD carry vulnerable. I would leave during fights and just go for a chime. And seriously, watching it back with him, I had no idea how obsessed I was with this, and he said it was actually a very common beginner Bard mistake. His next tip was I was roaming way too much. I thought making plays around the map was a good thing because the plays were working. But he said that they won't always work, and if I force too many plays, it can actually put a winning team in a bad position. And the final tip was if you don't have wards, recall. This is true for all supports, but because Bard is so mobile around the map, wards are extra important on him. Lathrius said he probably would have recalled twice as many times as I did just for wards, and it was really eye-opening. And I have to say, the chimes tip was something I didn't realize was much of a problem, but I think it comes from years of playing with my best friend. I even knew I was doing the wrong thing sometimes and did it anyway. I'm messing up my tempo for chimes, but I'm not gonna go for any more. And I don't know if it was the coaching or just being better at the champ in general, but I started to pull off some pretty cool mechanical plays on Bard too. Oh, I fucking predicted it! I'm so goddamn good at the game! I was also getting better with my portal. Like I said earlier, step 1 was learning how to use it for yourself, but now I was on to step 2 and 3, using it for my team and using it during fights. I focused more on getting picks instead of just trying to start fight after fight, and it was at this point I realized why I think I was playing so poorly, at least when it came to team fighting. You see, with pretty tanky items like Deadman's Plate, Liandry's, Wit's End, and Kayn of Crookhorn, I thought I was a frontline tank, when in reality I'm more of a tanky backline, and this realization changed everything. That means I shouldn't play in the back with the AD carry or in the front like a tank, but I should be somewhere in the middle. I mean, if there is no tank, I do still need to be in front of my carry, but I also do a lot of damage, like kind of out-damaging our Caitlyn here. Unfortunately, this discovery didn't solve all of my problems. But despite the loss, I was starting to feel pretty good with Bard. Sadly, my next game had an issue with the recording, and since I'm a little bit behind on my videos, I didn't realize until the new split started. So I had 2 options. Use this super accurate, super well animated reenactment of the game and call it a day, or just play a new game and see if I remember how to play Bard. And I have to say, I actually did surprisingly well in teamfights, playing safer by letting Sion tank at the start of the fight, and then, after he died, I took on the frontline role, using my damage and CC to clean up the fight. I was actually super surprised at my ability to position in these fights. Like, this was another fight where I put myself perfectly in the middle, right behind my tank, but in front of my carry Zoe. So for any of you wondering if I actually remember how to play any of these champions, I guess I do. But back to the original 10 hours of Bard eCore, I definitely still had some issues mechanically, like messing up my portal here, leading to me dying. But I had a much better understanding of Bard's damage and a good understanding of Ivern and Shaco because I already made videos on them, which made me know I could pull off this 2v1. And again, even though I wasn't great mechanically, you can just see how much more natural I was at this point, bursting the Shaco with my damage and immediately repositioning with my E to cut off the Caitlyn. Honestly, I'm just getting a little excited watching all these old fights again. I mean, just look at how much more comfortable I am with my ult, my stun, my portal, using all of my abilities way better than I did at the start of this challenge. Oh yeah, and even remembering to heal my low HP teammates during all of this. Which brings me to my final hour, where not only did I pull off some crazy plays like cleaning up this 2v2 in the bot lane, but I finally started to understand Bard's limits, knowing what plays would work and what plays wouldn't work, and learning how to recall even when there are chimes right next to me. But I mean, it's right there. What could be the harm of stopping my back real quick to get this charm? Anyway, I think it's safe to say Bard is a surprisingly strong champion. Good CC, good utility, and enough damage to kill the enemy AD carry all on my own, while also being tanky enough to survive and engage from the enemy team, and not only survive, but also get off a few good stuns. Then, the freaking Talon tried to finish me off and he couldn't kill me either. I'll admit, Bard definitely takes some getting used to. His portals are hard to control, it's hard to fully understand his damage, and his playstyle's a little bit weird. He also has an extremely weak early game that I never really got used to, but I did get better about and died less in the early game. But if you want a support that is surprisingly good at everything other than the early game, Bard's your champion. His roams are great, he scales pretty well, his damage and tankiness are both above average, and he has enough CC and utility to function as a traditional support if needed. He's dead to ignite! Holy shit. Man, Bard was so much fun. Oh yeah, and big shout out to today's sponsor, whose links are in the description and pinned comment below. The game is genuinely fun. New and returning players from over 6 months ago get a huge bonus bundle on PC and console, and you get to blow a ton of stuff up. Also, I only take sponsors that I've tested or played in the past, so you can be sure that your War Thunder experience will be a good one. Oh yeah, I stream on Twitch almost every day, so check me out in the description, and don't forget to like and comment, it helps me out a ton.